test. Test, test, test. Cool. Hey, welcome back to another of our 360 Hangouts where we look at everything rendering Unreal Engine 360 scenes using the Off-World Live 360 camera. This time we're going to be looking at skeletal mesh animation. We finished off last round finding some really good anti-aliasing settings for movement, and we verified that even sort of more erratic and random movement as well as just forward movement is great with those render settings. So we're going to take those render settings to some skeletal mesh animation. We have these skeletal meshes here with some movement, and we're going to set up a sequence to just render these at, say, 4K using our render settings. And then during that, while that's rendering, I'm going to set up another level with some emissive materials. So yeah, let's find the sequence that we had for these. Looks like that one. And yeah, there we go. We have the camera moving around this skeletal mesh pretty randomly, but just in a way that should give us some idea of how it looks passing quite close to the camera, looping around the camera, and things like that. So we've got some still, we've got some motion, and what I'm going to do is just up the number of frames here actually, so the whole thing can sort of pass over twice as long of a duration, so we have some more time to think about what we're looking at, what we're analyzing here. I think it can move a bit sooner than that though. Yeah, so that would be pretty good. Let's make sure these are looping over the amount of time that we set here. And we need to make sure the camera cut extends through all of these frames. Then let's change this to equi. Keep the face blend on 5. Yeah. Pause rendering. And yeah, that will be all of our settings for the camera. Let's save all. And yeah, I'm just going to flip between these two projects. They've got the same level, but it's taking a minute to save, isn't it? Let's see if I can work on this off screen for a second while that's saving. Let's just do this first thing that I was going to do here. So I want to set up kind of a dark mode so that we can get some emissive materials here. I don't really want to ruin the rest of my level, so I'm gonna just like use this sequence as kind of a level state, level instance. So we want we do want the camera to be, oh yeah, we have the camera here. Yeah, I want it to be moving forwards through this sort of area quite quickly. So I think that's good. Perhaps a bit too quick. Let's just extend it a little as well. Roughly. Yeah, that's all good. Okay, and then we're gonna add the directional light to the sequence. Could change the intensity, or we could change the rotation. Might be a bit nicer. And we're going to set this keyframe right at the beginning of the sequence. Make sure it's not before frame 0. 0, cool. We've accidentally just got frame 1, so we want this on frame 0. So we're definitely calling this as a kind of event or a notifier. Cool. And then we're going to add in, we could add some cubes as spawnable, couldn't we? Pretty sure I can do this. So, cube, and then convert to spawnable. Spawnable, so spawned by the sequence. And we're going to add an emissive material onto these cubes. We got materials folder, yeah. Huge project. Let's get material. And do a value, a color, multiply, parameter. Sets to 1 by default, multiply by 1. Put this into emissive color. And that's fine. Set this to be, let's make it a little bit yellowy, I think, or orangey. Okay. And apply that. Cool. So yeah, it's this kind of thing. I think might cause some issues that we can solve. Is set to pause or something. That was just really zoomed in. Like did you see when we moved this? It's just like a little bit artifacty and smeary. If you to really look at that reflective section there, that's the kind of thing I want to try and sort of iron out. It'd be really nice if we could get that super clean. So I'm just going to place a few of these down with the intention of trying to cause that issue. Just copy and paste within the sequence rather than alt dragging, because we've got these spawnable ones. Because that way, when I close this, yeah, the cubes are gone. So it's not changing the state of my initial level, which is nice. So where was that? Where was that? Motion blur dark. Cool. Yeah. So let's just make a few more of these. Oops. Could probably instance these in a better way than copy and pasting, but should be okay. And then maybe I'll just sort of raise these. Let's do 4 more. And just like have these below and above. So hopefully this will catch out lumen somewhere and give us something that we can fix. Cool. So that's set up. That's cool. Let's preview this in 360 anyway, just to see. Which one are we in? I think it's number 3, right? Oh, we can see here 2. Number 2. Cool. And got a blank render target. Okay, it's just being used by something else. Okay. So, not really seeing any artifacts there. But let's check if that's different when we're actually rendering and having a closer look at each individual frame. Maybe we'll go from like here just to save a little bit of time. And let's look at that section. Yeah, let's give that a go. And let's set this render off. Yeah, sure. 2K, let's make it 4K. Don't need any overrides. Let's use our anti-aliasing settings. Let's not override anti-aliasing to start with, but let's use DLAA. And let's use our console variables of motion blur separable. And what was the allow it's on the tip of my brain. Allow allow distance. Maybe let's look back. Look back at last week's. Oh, sorry. Let's look back at last week's video. What was it called? What was it called? Oh, we're in the right place. Some console variables there. Oh, there we go. Occlusion queries. Allow occlusion queries, no. Motion blur separable, yes. Yep. Probably had that saved already, but hey. And then we're gonna output this somewhere. Motion. Let's say dark. DLAA. Cool, and we'll do all the frames. Sweet. So that's our first little render for motion there. This is also ready to render now that it's stopped saving, so might just have to wait for this render to chug through. It's not going to take too long. That looks kind of odd lighting wise. That kind of looks like screen space rather than lumen. I'll have to double check that. Yeah, lumen just kicked in, so we need to add some warm-up frames. Not sure why that's happened, but let's add those warm-up frames. How to do warm-up frames. The game overrides? Where is warm-up frames again? Let's find that. Oh, here, okay. Okay, let's not override anti-aliasing, but let's do warm-up count. Looks like it needed like 100 frames warm-up for lumen to kick in. That must be a lumen setting I've got somewhere, but for now, let's just set that to like 100. And let's see if that makes the lighting kind of calculate earlier. I think it should do. Oh, maybe not. Well, let's see how this render does anyway. Sorry, I keep punching the mic today. Sorry about that. Right, yeah, let's find these frames anyway. Yeah, we can see this like color is all really blue. This feels like screen space. It kind of fades into, I don't know, maybe not. But anyway, what we're trying to focus on is whether these emissives have kind of streaks. And for this, not really. So what we can try and do is make it darker and maybe up the amount of emissive here. Trying to see if there's any noise in these kind of reflections. Oh, you know what we could do is actually just make these kind of spin. But that's more likely to cause the kind of streaks we're trying to cause. So can I just select all of these? I'm gonna have to parent them to something, I feel like. So let's jump out of here. Add another cube. Whoa, 37. Yeah, for that felt like double what I should have. Okay, let's delete half of these. I accidentally like double. Oops. Not sure why that's happened. So I guess I can just hey, is that brought it down? I've now not got a ridiculous amount. No, what? Confused. Got so many. Oh my god. Jeez. I just got loads of copies. Oh my god. How many should I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Weird. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Still not delete the right ones. Wow, this is a really dumb way of doing this. Never mind. Right, that's the right amount. How many duplicates have you got? None. How many duplicates? None. It's definitely still a lot of duplicates. E 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, no, that's correct. Okay, cool, cool. Okay, so then let's parent all of these to this one. And then set this to spin around. Whoa. Oh god, what's this time? Oh my days. Okay, let's do this another way. God. Can we just groove them? No. Oh yeah, okay. Group actor. Can that be added to? No. I can't just like. What I'm trying to do is just spin this like that, basically. Because yeah, that's the kind of ghosting I'm trying to replicate. So let's do. Can't you create an actor, merge actors? Class is long. You know what? While we're doing this, let's kick off this render. We've got a config for this, DLA. Let's make sure it's 4K. Why is it 1:1? Okay. And okay, it's fine. And we're going to do motion. Skeletal meshes. Okay, cool. Progress. So we got the cubes merged here. Let's save that in meshes. Merge cubes. Sure. Cool. And let's like delete all of these. There's so many. Because this spawnable thing, maybe. Not sure. Very odd. Cool. Merge cubes. We do want to set the pivot to be in the center. We can do that. That's normals. There is edit pivot center. Nice. Does it let me confirm that? Is it being freezy because I'm rendering? Maybe. It's now got 2 pivots. A lot. Should let me confirm that. Maybe it's just done it. Oh, there we go. Accept. Nice. Okay. This should be able to spin round. Cubes. Transform. Let's go pull this off for my insanity. And let's put this down a bit. Frame it. Spin around. It was back a bit, wasn't it? Like here. Keyframe the transform. Then just do a doing a rotation roll. Yeah, roll. 0. And then last frame, I'm going to set this to 360. Sweet. Okay, let's see if that causes some issues. So why is the lumen taking so long to turn on? That's what I want to fix. Let's just turn off all these overrides. Have it as just standard. Existing. Getting there. Halfway, that's cool. Nice. Okay. Anything else that would I could troubleshoot? Let's see if this is now kicking up a fuss in the just the render target. Oh, this has been on the whole time. I still think this is unlikely to sort of give us the smearing that we want to see so we can fix. What if we turn the directional light down a bit? Oh, that looks a bit more like cubes are having an effect on like this wall, for example, and this edge. Just try turning up the emissive a bit as well. Does that have no effect? Because I've got no bloom, maybe, in the scene. Don't really want to meddle with bloom too much, because it's going to just cause some other problems. If I got it overridden by the 360, maybe. Cam 2, yeah. Oh. You need to turn it up quite high, don't you? Apparently convolution blur is better for 360, says Gemini, but I don't know where it's getting that from, and I'm just interested to try that. Okay, looks like it could have some smeariness. Sweet. So yeah, where's this one at? It's pretty much there, isn't it? Lots and lots of motion blur going on. Also, Gemini was telling me about a console command for shutter frame angle, setting it to 0.5. I'm gonna try this because apparently it could also improve motion blur, especially on seams. But I think with our face blend, it's kind of unnecessary. But interesting that Gemini says it again. I'm not sure where exactly it's got that from. Could ask it where it got it from, to be fair. But so let's set this off actually while we analyze the other one. Yeah, that's fine. So that's rendering. Then let's check out this. See if we can find any artifacts. Oh, it looks pretty clean actually. Maybe I should have set it to move a bit quicker actually. That's fine because that'll take half as long to render. A little bit noisy. Like this kind of noise. So really not very noticeable. So I don't know if it's unnecessary to try and fix that. What about these wings? They're like flapping really hard, aren't they? So this is NVIDIA's deep learning anti-aliasing with no override, so no extra samples. And you know, this is a bit artifacty now. This is the kind of stuff you would expect without any additional samples. Kind of like as the wing passes here, it doesn't know what to do about this hair, does it? So it's interesting. Maybe it's struggling to blend a semi-transparent thing such as hair with something that's moving. Not sure what's going on there, but is it distracting when you're zoomed in, say like this far? Because bearing in mind we're viewing this on a VR headset, so you know, be looking around like quite zoomed in actually. Perhaps like this. So yeah, it's like if you're really looking for it, it's kind of funny here. So yeah, let's just see if the same trick that we did with other movement. Oh, look at that as well. Artifacts. Sort of like, again, this like struggling to figure out skeletal mesh in front of tree. It's got a whole border. I guess where the motion blur is. Again, like, say we're zoomed in 4 times. Yeah, that is pretty visible. Like, only because we're looking at for it, but you know, someone could spot that and be like, oh, that's kind of taking me out of it a little bit. I don't know, perhaps it's not a crazy best quality. It's a mixture of lots of different movements. It's like that way, and then the movement of the camera as well, and the movement of the skeletal mesh there. But yeah, we could see if some, because this was like no override, so we could see if adding more samples could fix that. Interesting. Yeah, it's a little bit visible. I guess it's the skeletal mesh being in front of the tree, really. I feel like that could be smoother. A bit ghosty. Again, really good though. Kind of visible. Yeah, kind of visible even when zoomed out quite far once you know it's there. That bit. Yeah. So yeah, let's see if the extra samples solves that. This one's finished rendering. Again, that is not correct lighting. That's all way too blue. Like lumen's only just kicking in partway through that render, which is odd. Also got this. So this is already going to need some more samples. But yeah, this streakiness. That's what I'm really interested in fixing. So I guess this session has just been setting up the renders. I'll do some troubleshooting before next week really to see if we can chuck some console variables at it to fix that. But I mean, overall it's not bad. But it's just might take you out of it a bit. Do wonder about this like strange lighting change. So I'll try to fix that for next time as well. I might try and get a better example together as well where some of this stuff's a bit more visible. That's kind of interesting, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. Like this kind of thing could be interesting to try and fix. But yeah, that's all I'm gonna have time for this week, just setting up those renders. But yeah, let's see what console variables we can chuck at this. It's like that shouldn't be there at all. That should be behind that. Shouldn't it? I guess it's the emissive material not really taking the motion blur into account in the same way. So that's really interesting. I guess it's as objects pass around, emissive objects particularly pass around objects with motion blur, get some weirdness. I'll start by just chucking more samples at it and see if that cleans it up, which probably will, but ideally there'd be some console variables we could use. Instead, that's, yeah, it's kind of odd, isn't it? Looking over here, kind of odd. Again. Is it distracting? I think what is more distracting is this motion blur, the reflection behind it being a bit of a kind of weird fiery trail. And that's quite common for lumen and emissive. Something I would love to get to the bottom of. So yeah, I guess we've set up the tests. Seen that the skeletal mesh is looking pretty good, but this could probably be fixed with more spatial samples. We'll do the same for this, see how that goes, and then we'll make a bit more progress on these two factors of skeletal mesh animation and emissive materials in next week's stream. Thanks for tuning in, and yeah, happy rendering until next week. Cheers.